This Family Life News podcast is made possible by the support of listeners like you.
Next on the 5 o'clock report.
With this budget, we showed you can stand up to special interests.
She wants to put fear in the migrant community. This is a false narrative.
Do they really want peace?
We just started praying and people started singing. We didn't realize the roof was gone.
Now, let's go to the newsroom.
Deal or no deal? Good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm Mark Webster. Another year, another late budget in Albany, and it may or may not be done yet. More than a month tardy, New York Governor Kathy Hochul today came out and proclaimed that the budget deal is now in place.
With this budget, we showed you can stand up to special interests. We made tough choices. We faced uncertainty, and yet we still delivered. Because your family and your future are my fight. Thank you very much.
But is it actually a done deal? Family Life Sarah Harnish with that.
The governor said this afternoon, quote, "We got it done," referring to the $268 billion state budget, which is a month overdue. Hochul said she's proud of deals on immigration and auto insurance reform, but Assembly Speaker Carl Hastie calls the announcement premature. There is no deal, he told reporters at the state capitol, saying substantial disagreements remain. Sarah Harnish, Family Life News.
Thank you, Sarah. Well, assuming no major changes by lawmakers, Hochul's plan lessens state cooperation with federal immigration enforcement.
Their excessive engagement in activities far beyond what was ever promised by the president or what Tom Homan has told me. I don't take well to threats. They're going to find that out.
But borders are, Tom Homan tells Fox.
We're going to enforce the law regardless. And, she wants to put fear in the migrant community. She wants to get American people to turn against ICE. It's just a false narrative.
So for now, Kathy Hochul says there is a state budget deal. The head of the state assembly says not so fast. Our other top story, the Middle East, with the Wall Street Journal reporting that Project Freedom could resume before the week is out. The White House is again playing a waiting game with Tehran to respond to what's believed to be a one-page memorandum of understanding framing a wider peace plan to end the war. U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, Mike Waltz, says Iran's playing some evil games right now.
Collective punishment of the entire world to try to resolve some type of dispute. It's unacceptable, it's immoral, and it's illegal. And we have to ask ourselves, if a country chooses to oppose such a simple proposition, do they really want peace?
President Trump says if Iran says no, he'll say yes to resuming bombing more intensely than before. Retired Lieutenant Colonel Darren Gaub tells Fox right now it's more about bucks than bombs.
What we're dealing with now is an economic conflict. We've done the military victory side, essentially. Let's just call it a victory. Diplomacy is ongoing, and what we're leveraging now more than the ability to strike targets continuously over Iran is the ability to affect their economy.
Also today, NBC is reporting that Project Freedom was paused because Saudi Arabia suspended the U.S. military from using its bases and airspace in the operation. Now, up and up they go. Today's average national price for a gallon of gas, $4.56. Experts say even if the war ended quickly, drivers can't expect any immediate relief at the pump.
There's going to be some lag, and just things have been bottled up for so long that it's going to take some time for those logistical networks to get back and the oil to actually get not just out of the Gulf, but get to where it needs to be and then, refined and turned into gasoline.
Nick Jarmus with AAA. U.S. gas prices typically peak during the summer months when refineries switch to a more expensive summer blend of gasoline that works better in the heat. Prices have climbed about $0.25 a gallon over the past week. In New York, averaging $4.57 right now, highest in the New York City area, but also in the North Country. In Pennsylvania, it's now $4.70 on average, generally higher prices found in the western part of the Keystone State. Back to Washington, a meeting between President Trump and Brazil's president at the White House is over. Trump was expected to do an on-camera session with Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, but instead he posted on Truth Social that, quote, the meeting went very well. Several confirmed cases now from that hantavirus outbreak aboard the Atlantic cruise ship. Could it morph into a new pandemic? Infectious disease expert Dr. Eileen Marty says no.
I do not think that we're going to have to have anywhere near the kinds of concerns or worries as we did a few years ago with COVID-19. It's a very different virus. It spreads differently.
So far, at least 3 fatalities fatalities from this new outbreak. Still about 20,000 without power in Texas and Mississippi after a line of tornadoes and severe storms raked the area yesterday. The Mississippi twisters left several people hurt. Jimmy Brazel, pastor of Coaltown Baptist Church, says people were inside when a tornado ripped through.
We just started praying and people started singing. We didn't realize at the time that the roof was gone.
Mississippi Governor Tate Reeves says more than 300 homes were damaged by the storms, but so far, thankfully, no reports of fatalities. First Chronicles 16:24 tells us to glorify God among the nations, and that's the theme of today's 75th annual National Day of Prayer. Kathy Renzel, president of the National Day of Prayer Task Force, tells CBN.
We want to make sure we say thank you, Lord. It is only by Him shedding His grace on us, only by His guidance, and then seeking Him in every generation, with every generation, following the Lord.
She says younger generations are increasingly turning to faith not just as a so-called death destination, but as a source of real hope for today. You can get more information on in-person and virtual gatherings at nationaldayofprayer.org. Still to come on the 5 o'clock report, a recap of our top regional stories and highlights from today's Faith Under Fire. Now checking the stories making news where you live across New York and Pennsylvania. Call it a major misdeed. There's a new form of fraud on the rise in upstate New York. It's called deed theft. That's a form of ID theft where criminals illegally transfer a property's title without the owner's knowledge or consent, often via forged signatures or fraudulent documents to steal home equity. Sometimes it's called home title theft. Victims are often targeted while they're behind on mortgage payments, taxes, or are elderly. Matthew Cox knows all about it. He tells WRGB he spent more than a decade in federal prison for doing it.
I would go into those banks and I would borrow from them and they would lend money on this property because they think I own the property free and clear. It is probably easier to pull off than credit card fraud, and you make a lot more money. It was about $15 million that I took.
Lee Kindlin is Albany County's DA.
There hasn't been as much enforcement upstate. We just haven't had the tools.
Cox, who's now calling out weaknesses in the system that make deed theft possible, says homeowners need to be actively vigilant.
It is public records. The problem is that even if it's monitored and you're notified, it's that you have to fix it.
Advocates say stronger safeguards such as real-time alerts or enhanced verification requirements could help prevent deed theft. A bill to end state funding for the transing of kids in Pennsylvania is headed to the full Senate for a vote. It bans Medicaid dollars from funding procedures that conflict with the federal ban on so-called sex change operations for minors. Republican Chris Gebhardt.
Simply put, this legislation protects children from life-altering procedures performed at the expense of the taxpayer involving sterilizing drugs or a fast track to the operating table to remove healthy body parts.
Since 2015, Pennsylvania taxpayers have paid out more than $30 million on so-called gender-affirming care for over 6,000 children suffering from gender dysphoria. Nearly a dozen measles cases have been confirmed in Lebanon County, PA. 3 required hospitalization. Statewide, PA has reported 23 measles cases this year, 22 of those victims not vaccinated. Cornell University President Michael Kotlikoff is facing calls to resign after being caught on tape apparently backing over the foot of a student on campus. Happened last month. Here's NBC's Sam Brock.
President Kotlikoff says he was accosted by a group of individuals known to Cornell for their past conduct, including a long history of ongoing verbal and online abuse, who he says refused to stop after he answered some questions, adding, "They continued to follow me to my car and then surrounded the car, banging on the windows, blocking the car, and shouting. The behavior I experienced is not protest, it is harassment and intimidation."
Kotlikoff says he was confronted by anti-Israeli protesters after hosting a debate on Jewish-Arab relations at Cornell. Well, NASCAR fans are showing up already in Watkins Glen, New York, for a weekend event that in previous years has been a summertime thing. They're dealing with muddy conditions and the likelihood of yet more rain this weekend, and these fans are none too pleased.
It could have been at a different time. This time of year in this state is kind of iffy, kind of playing Russian roulette with the weather.
It's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. The timing of it and just the weather, because it's not a good idea.
I hope NASCAR learns their lesson from this one. It makes it tougher with our kids in school, so they're in school and we got to go back and forth. We're going to make the best of it. We're still going to have fun, but we're covered in mud.
Fans tell WETM they hope next year organizers will shift gears and move the races at WGI back to their traditional summertime slot in August or September. Finally, if you know, you know. sounds from the quirky but popular game Angry Birds, one of 4 inductees for the Strong National Museum of Play's World Video Game Hall of Fame in Rochester, New York. The others this year are Dragon Quest, FIFA International Soccer, and Silent Hill. Runners-up included Frogger and a personal favorite from days gone by, Galaga. Blew a lot of quarters on that one. You're listening to the 5 o'clock report on Family Life.
This is Faith Under Fire. We take you straight to the front lines of religious battlegrounds. I'm your host, Sarah Harnish. With me today, Radiant Mobile founder Paul Fisher and CEO Chris Clemmis. We're talking porn-blocking cell phones. This past Tuesday, you launched the first nationwide Christian cell phone network to block all pornography and LGBTQ plus content. It is called Radiant Mobile. Tell me how it works.
We've tried to have a practical solution to a spiritual problem, and we hard block in certain categories. Pornography is primarily one of them. There's 7 categories that we hard block for parents and for every line, and there's 9 that we hard block for kids. But we really fought to put the power of choice back into the user and into the parent's hands.
The technology is pretty incredible and exciting. You're using the Israeli cybersecurity firm Allot to sort website domains, not just main website pages, but even subsets of the pages, to make sure that pornography and gay and trans content and other types of content like that don't appear on cell phone screens. How's that different from porn blocking software?
That's a great question. I'll take that one, Chris. We spent a good year of our life fiercely attacking telecommunications companies, saying to them, we know you have the ability to block harmful content at the pipe, at the tower, before it ever reaches our cell phones. Why won't you do that? And they didn't really take our calls for the first year. And we went again and again and again. And finally, the dam broke. And they finally agreed to allow our partners Allot out of Israel, one of the top cybersecurity companies in the world, to go in and to have a filtering program that actually blocks horrific content at the network level way before it ever reaches your phone. So it can't be deleted like a normal app. We wanted to get in there and have a solution way before it actually reaches the cell phone. So that's where Allot comes into play.
Why use a cybersecurity firm for that?
Because we wanted to make sure that it was bulletproof. We wanted to make sure that it was at the highest level. Nobody had ever done this before. Mm-hmm. Nobody had ever been able to block something at the network level. We didn't want any mistakes, so we chose a company out of Israel. They have 30 million subscribers. They've been in business for over 30 years. And we didn't want to take any chances. You know, I have a 5-year-old, I have a 2-year-old. Chris has 6 children. And we take that as a very serious responsibility. And we just wanted to make sure that it was impenetrable. And then what we were about to offer to the public, they couldn't poke holes in it.
Let's talk about the epidemic of pornography, especially in Christianity. Can you give me some data? Because this isn't just for kids, it's protecting adults too.
I would love to do that. I've been in the ministry 20 years. The stats in the church are alarming. 67% of U.S. pastors report a personal history with porn use. 7 to 11% of churches have an active plan and pathway on how to combat pornography in their congregation. We love the pastors, and we want to give them and I want everybody to hear me clearly, a practical solution to what we feel is a spiritual problem in the area of lust. If you have an alcohol addiction problem, you don't want to live next to a bar. Just move somewhere else. If you have credit card issues, you don't go take out another $50,000 worth of credit. We're trying to figure out a way to give a very practical solution, and I really pray that it'll turn the battle in this area for men, women, and for the next generation.
The only way to cure everything is to bring the light, which is Jesus Christ, into the situation. We know that that is the correct and the real solution, not our technology. Our technology is just a tool to help people.
Learn more at radiantmobile.com. familylife.org.
Thank you, Sarah. You can hear the entire feature and all of our Family Life original news features at Apple Podcast, YouTube, Spotify, and familylife.org. This is the 5 o'clock report on Family Life.
What do your spending decisions say about your heart? Hi, I'm Rob West with the Faith and Finance Minute. In Jonah 1, when God called Jonah to Nineveh, he ran the other way and paid the fare to sail to Tarshish. He didn't just run from God, he used his money to do it. That detail matters because every spending decision reflects what we value and whom we trust. And it doesn't stop with us. When the storm came, the sailors had to throw their cargo overboard. Jonah's disobedience had real consequences for others. The book of Jonah ends on a question, not a resolution. His heart is still being confronted by God, and maybe ours is too. Remember, your spending isn't just financial, it's spiritual, and it's pointing to what you value most. Manage your finances wisely with the easy-to-use FaithFi app. Download FaithFi, Faith and Finance from your app store, or learn more at faithfi.com.
Thank you, Rob. Finally at 5, a twist on that old expression about somebody getting your goat. In this case, the goat got them. It happened during the recent serious tornado outbreak in Enid, Oklahoma. The Sloat family rode it out in their storm shelter, but the wreckage of their home above buried the entrance. Mary Sloat tells KFOR.
There was glass shattering, we could hear bricks falling, and our cellar door dented in, and we just knew that it was bricks that had fallen from the wall.
Her family was worried that their beloved goats, Penny and Percy, had perished. Thankfully, though, they not only survived, but rescuers the next day told her that it was their goats that led the way to them.
And he says, when we came around the back of the house, your goats were standing on the pile of bricks, and we were pretty sure that's probably where the cellar was.
Penny and Percy, at least for the Sloat family, 2 goats who might be the goats, greatest of all time. And that's the world we live in for Thursday, May 7th, 2026. Thanks again for joining us. I'm Mark Webster, Family Life News.
Thank you for listening to this Family Life News podcast. If you've been encouraged by what you've heard, please share it with others and click the subscribe button to automatically receive future episodes. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Podcasts like this are made possible by your financial partnership. Find out more at familylife.org.